In today's video, you'll hear the late Singaporean founding father, Kuan Yew, explain exactly why India can't match China's success. His insights are sharp, honest, and to the point. Don't miss this.
5 years ago at the founding dinner, you had predicted great things for China and India and cited to India's secular democracy as key to its future success. 5 years on, I just wanted to ask your opinion on how well you think India's government is doing in separating religion and politics. And perhaps what advice could you give to India's new breed of leaders?
I think all the governments want your advice.
It's nearly as sensitive and difficult a question as the last one. But I'll give you my experience of India. I think despite all the failings, highly bureaucratic, red tape, inefficient linkages between central and state governments, unwieldy coalitions in the center and unwieldy coalitions in the states, the progress is made is quite remarkable. I mean, 6, 7, 8% growth. Once Manmohan Singh and Chidambaram opened up in the 90s after the IMF said, you've got to open up. I think India is under some constraints, not the result of the politicians, but the result of the nature of the constitution and the nature of the society. China is homogeneous, 90% Han. So when the president stands up and the TV is on, more than 90% understanding because the minorities are also learning Chinese, Putonghua. So given those constraints, it's done well. Any Indian leader speaking in any language at one time doesn't reach more than, say, 40%. You speak in Hindi, you might get the Hindi North. You speak in English, you get the upper classes throughout the country, maybe 30%. You speak in Tamil, you get 70 million in Tamil Nadu, and you speak in Malayalam, I don't know how many, 40 million. So that is an enormous diversity which makes it difficult to get the same policies through. And you can see that after each election you get a tussle of how to form governing coalitions. But on the other hand, because it's kept its constitution fluid, so a country with about 30, 40 different ethnic groups and 320 dialects and languages has held together. That's quite an achievement. Then you have the problem of the constitution. I was in Bombay 2 years ago, and this is a fact, and I don't think Deputy Chief Minister will take offense at my recounting what actually took place and his position. So he asked me if I would spend 3 hours discussing how to make Bombay a world financial center. So I thought, well, why not? So he brought all his main ministers, state ministers, and his officials. Halfway through the dialogue, I asked him, who governs Bombay? He said, there's a committee that runs Bombay. I said, but who provides it with the revenue? He said, we do, the state government. What happens to Bombay's revenue? It goes to the state government. I said, then how do you dispense with that revenue? He says, well, we spread it throughout the Maharashtra Strait because there are so many farmers and so on, everybody has got to be looked after. I then said to him, if you want Bombay to become like Shanghai, Pudong, then you make it a self-governing unit, which the Chinese have done in Shanghai, in Tianjin, in Chongqing, and a few other cities recently. Then they deal direct with the central government. The central government gives them the funds for the infrastructure. And the revenue is shared with the central government, not with the... Shanghai doesn't share revenue with either Jiangsu or Zhejiang or any of the neighboring states. It shares it with the central government. And the central government has invested enormous sums of money to make it a dragon head that goes up the Yangtze River right up to the Tibetan mountains. And there was a period when you had empty building blocks, but it doesn't matter. I mean, the central government has decided this is going to be a great international center, and they set out to make it one, and now it is one. So I said, do that. He looked at me and says, what will happen to my farmers? I said, you just got to deal with the central government. He says, no, the central government won't give me anything more. So the discussion ended there. So I said, well, then how do you solve this airport, which is not world class? A road from the airport to the city, which is not what you expect of a first world financial center. And the city itself, the planning is not as good as it would be if it were governed separately. This can't be done. So 2 days later, I was in Delhi and I met the Prime Minister. I said, this problem can be solved. You see, China, make it an independent unit. The Prime Minister looked at me and said, you don't understand. I will never get this passed through Parliament. I said, why? You have to go to Parliament. Yes. He said, all this requires an amendment in the legislation, in the Constitution, and that requires a 2/3 majority or some in the central government and in the states. We will never get it passed. So Bombay will always be at the mercy of the Maharashtra government, and the Maharashtra government quite wisely takes its revenue and gives it to the farmers because they are the people who voted them in. So until you break that chain, how do you break the chain?
Lee Kuan Yew had a knack for getting straight to the point, and his take on why India struggles compared to China is a perfect example. He highlighted two key reasons, both rooted in how these countries are structured and governed. The first reason is about population and culture. China is largely homogeneous. Over 90% of its population are Han Chinese. That might sound like a small detail, but it actually matters a lot. When the central government or the president speaks, most people across the country understand the message. There's a shared language, shared values, and a sense of national identity that makes it easier to roll out policies quickly. India, by contrast, is incredibly diverse. It has over 1.4 billion people speaking hundreds of languages, following different religions, and living under vastly different local cultures. While this diversity is a strength in many ways, it complicates governance. Policies that work well in one state may not fit another. For instance, agricultural reforms that help Punjab could be irrelevant or even counterproductive in Tamil Nadu. The central government often has to negotiate with multiple states to get buy-in, slowing down decision-making and development. China, with its more unified population, can push nationwide initiatives like infrastructure projects or poverty alleviation programs much faster. The second reason Lee highlighted is how China balances central authority with local autonomy. Take Shanghai, for example. The central government gives the city enough freedom to experiment and innovate, while still aligning with national goals. This creates a powerful synergy, broad objectives from the top, but tailored solutions on the ground. The results are clear. Shanghai has become a global financial hub, driving economic growth for itself and the country. India faces a very different scenario. Bureaucracy and red tape often prevent states from acting quickly or trying new approaches. Policies must pass through multiple layers of approval, and political conflicts or corruption can create further delays. States don't have the same freedom to innovate, which slows down growth and makes large-scale reforms much harder to implement. In short, Kuan Yew argued that China's relative homogeneity, combined with its system of central guidance plus local autonomy, gives it a clear advantage over India. India's diversity and slower bureaucracy make rapid, coordinated development far more challenging. China can move fast, adapt locally, and create synergy between the center and its regions, a combination India struggles to match. And these are some of core reasons why India cannot match China's success. What do you think? Do you agree with Kuan Yew? Well, share your thoughts and leave your comments below. If you like what you watched, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more interesting content.